Bet she'd look even better with the two of you in the shot. What do you say?
That's a mighty fine idea.
Hey guys, mahal everyone, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, bringing you guys another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. In today's video, we're going to be covering the next upcoming character event hitting Global DFFOO, featuring Final Fantasy XV's gun-toting photographer, Prompto. Now I know this character is definitely a fan favorite, so get excited, get hyped for this brand new character's release into the DFFOO global cast. Now with the Prompto event, we're going to be seeing some synergy alongside Prompto with King, Freya, and as well as our current most recent Lost Chapters character, Selphie, and we're also going to be seeing the debut of all of Prompto's gear, in particular his EX weapon, which I know those of you who love Prompto are going to be excited to know what that does, and we're also going to be combating against the Sergeant Imp bosses. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into what Prompto exactly does, and also what he's going to be bringing to us on the global side of the game. Now, I do want to let you guys know that some of the animations that you might see are going to be coming from my JP account, obviously. However, Prompto in JP did receive a rework, so the animations you see are going to look a little different from what Prompto is going to be doing on his global release, but essentially the animations are going to be the same. It's just that there's going to be some added effects because he did get a rework. So we're going to start things off with his framed buff and his framed debuffs. So his framed debuffs, first of all, is going to be target lock, and we're going to be taking a look at this with all passives considered. It's inflicted by using his ability called Star Shell. It has a 1-turn duration, and if you guys are familiar with essentially provoke mechanic type of debuffs, he forces all enemy targets to attack him. So he has essentially it's essentially the same thing as like what Warrior of Light does, what Snow does, what Zack does, so he provokes enemies in a sense. And then he has something called Break Mark. Now, Break Mark is not going to be your traditional debuff because it's actually not going to appear as a debuff on their buff debuff slots. Instead, it's going to appear as a special icon on the target, and it's actually going to be appearing on the middle of the target animation. And the way that you make this appear is that when the target is either broken or attacked during a broken state, 1 turn prior during Prompto's turn is how you make this appear. And you'll know that it's there because you're going to see like these blue icons appearing on the middle of the target. And what this does is while Break Mark is active, it changes Prompto's Brave Attack to Overkill, and it also changes his HP attack to Crack Shot. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at his frame debuffs. First of all, we get Mood Maker. So this is gained from using his second ability, which is called Piercer. It has an 8-turn duration. It increases Prompto's attack by 60%, as well as his max Brave by 40%, and it changes his Brave and HP attacks to their plus variants. And then afterwards, if you happen to have access to his EX ability, he also has a framed buff from that called King's Buddy. It's gained from using his EX ability called Trigger Happy. It has a 6-turn duration. What this does is it gives the party, first of all, including Prompto, a 20% attack and max Brave increase, and it's going to be applied to your party members as an aura, your allies specifically, and then afterwards it gives Prompto an additional 20% speed increase to himself. Now his base commands are as followed with their upgrades. Brave Attack Plus is going to be a 1-hit non-elemental range single target Brave Attack with a 160% Brave damage potency. Overkill, coming from his Brave Attack and requiring that Break Mark, is going to be a 2-hit non-elemental range single target Brave Attack. It inflicts a 40% attack reduction debuff on the target for 1 turn, and it has a 240% Brave damage potency with a low action delay. His HP Attack Plus is a 1-hit non-elemental range single target Brave plus single target HP attack with a 100% Brave damage potency. And then finally his Crack Shot, coming from his HP attack requiring that Break Mark, is going to be a 2-hit non-elemental range single target Brave and single target HP attack, ignoring defense, and with a 200% Brave damage potency. So what I can tell from these particular base commands, the upgraded versions, is it gives Prompto some longevity. So that's something that's already key in making him a pretty good character upon his release. Now let's go ahead and take a look at his abilities. So he has two abilities, Star Shell and Piercer. Again, with all passives considered is how we're going to be taking a look at these abilities. Star Shell is going to be healing the party's Brave by 200% of Prompto's own attack. It's going to be inflicting that target lock to all enemies for 1 turn, drawing all aggro to Prompto. It grants him a 100% evasion rate up to himself for 2 turns, as well as a 30% physical attack up to the entire party for 10 turns with a max usage of 5. And then he gets Piercer, which is a 3-hit non-elemental range, single target Brave plus single target HP attack. Brave can overflow with this ability up to 120% of max Brave with a 300% Brave damage potency. He inflicts a 40% defense reduction on the target for 4 turns, and he grants himself Mood Maker for 8 turns, changing his Brave and HP attack to their plus variants with a max usage of 7. Finally, we're going to move on to his other ability, which is going to be coming from his 65 passive. This is called Attack Speed. Now we're going to take a look at it, obviously, with the 70 and Bloomstone passives equipped. It increases his attack and speed, attack by 15% and speed by 10% for 4 turns with a max usage of 2. Now the last ability we're going to take a look at is going to be his EX ability called Trigger Happy. Remember, you're going to be needing that EX weapon to have access to this. But what it is it's a 1-hit, non-elemental range, single target Brave plus single target HP attack executed 10 times. So he does this 10 times. Now that first hit is going to be attacking whoever you're targeting. However, the remaining 9 hits are going to be dispersed if you're fighting against multiple targets. It has a total of a 400% Brave damage potency, and it grants him that King's Buddy to himself for 6 turns. Now at 3 out of 3 limit break, it does permanently increase his Brave damage dealt by critical hits that he deals by 20%, and at base it has a slightly fast recast speed, going up to fast, assuming that you have this EX weapon fully max limit broken. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at his crystal passives. Remember, when I take a look at these now moving forward, we only look at them from the level 50 all the way to level 70, because it's going to be assumed that if you're going to build this character, you're going to be unlocking the prior passives before those. So his C level 50 is emotion charged photos, 10% increase to attack and speed while you have his Mood Maker active. At 54, buff boost and speed up, 20% max Brave and speed increase to himself while he is buffed. At 58, he gets buff attack and boost all, giving the party a 20% attack and max Brave increase while he is buffed. At 65, he gets attack speed, which grants him access to that ability called attack speed. And then finally, at 68, he gets Radiance of Destruction and Power, which gives him a 20% attack and max Brave increase to himself. Now, his extension crystal passives are as follows. At 55, Star Shell Extend increases the Brave heal potency for Star Shell by 100%. It also allows Star Shell to grant that 30% physical attack up to the party for 10 turns. And then at level 60, Piercer Extend is going to be increasing the Brave hits of that ability to 3. It also increases the overall Brave damage potency by 100%, also increasing Mood Maker's potency and allowing Piercer to Brave overflow up to 120% of max Brave. It will also be increasing the Brave damage potency for his Brave Attack Plus, Overkill, HP Attack Plus, and his Crack Shot by 40%. And then finally, we have his C level 70, Attack Speed Extend. It gives a small potency increase to his attack and speed up coming from that ability by 5%. And then his Bloomstone passive increases the usage of that ability by +1 and also extends the effect durations to 4 turns. Now, as far as artifact passives goes, our Prompto gets the following. Buff Guard Up 1-star, 2-star. He gets a defense increase by 5% or 10% while he's buffed. Bravery Star Shell. It's going to be healing his Brave by an additional 5 or 10% based on his initial Brave when you use Star Shell. Mighty Piercer will be increasing the Brave damage by that ability for either 5 or 10%. And then afterwards, you have Emotion Charge Boost, increasing the effects of that passive by either 2 or 5% while Mood Maker is active. Now, if I were you, as far as recommended artifact passives goes, I would definitely go with Attack plus 108, especially we know that his Star Shell Brave battery is based on his attack. Afterwards, I would actually go with Emotion Charge Boost over the Max Brave plus 330. Max Brave plus 330 would be like my third choice. The only reason why is because Prompto only has one ability that really takes advantage of Overflow, and it's like a small Overflow. So Emotion Charge Boost would definitely help him out better, especially if you're going to be focusing on using Prompto for that Brave Battery coming from his Star Shell. So what are my overall thoughts about this character? Well, let's take a look at the positives first. First of all, he has some pretty good debuffs. You know, he has a good attack and defense down, being at those that 40% range reduction to the enemies. So that way you're either dealing more damage and also reducing the amount of damage they deal. And 40% is pretty good. He gets a pretty good aura from his level, I believe it, level 58 passive, okay, boosting the party's attack and max brave by 20%. So he has that. He also gets a pretty good aura if you have his EX weapon, further improving your party's attack and max brave. His EX ability has a fast recharge rate. He has pretty good longevity, okay? He has some shenanigans, you know, with evasion and also with taunting. So essentially, this is what Cater should have had. You know, you guys know Cater having evasion but no taunt, and her evasion is not nearly as reliable as Prompto's. So he has some pretty good gimmicks. He has some pretty unique abilities, but is this character worth pulling for? Is he good? So he is good, but he's not particularly amazing. He's not really bringing anything to the table that's like a wow factor. Like, for example, Warrior of Light's level 70 rework. That's like a crazy wow factor there. We already know that that character in particular will be taking you into the early Chaos era and will be helping you out during that early Chaos era. As far as Prompto goes, lack of overflow on his EX ability. Only one overflow, which is 120%. It would have been nice if it was at least 150% on Piercer. And then Star Shell, I'll give it that it has a really good Brave Battery, 200% based on attack, and it has the evasion, but it does take up a turn. He doesn't deal damage afterwards, which is a bit unfortunate because that means he's going to need to be spending that turn to be able to actually use that ability without actually dealing damage. So it's not a turn efficient ability. His Brave Attack Plus and then also the special command, they're pretty cool, you know, again, longevity, but they're nothing really like, they're nothing really special compared to what we already currently have. So the character himself is good. I believe if you pull for this character, especially if this character is your favorite, it's a good pull, but it's not a must pull. It's not a pull that's worth pitying. He's not a character that I really see him carrying you through the early parts of Chaos, especially. He's good for Cosmos, he has shenanigans, but he's nothing game breaking, nothing wow factor like I just mentioned. So again, if he's your favorite, I know that this character has won the hearts of many, you know, with his personality, with his quirkiness, with his love for photography in Final Fantasy 15. So if he's your favorite, if he's your husbando, then by all means go ahead and invest, go ahead and pull. Just know that he's not particularly amazing. Now, in terms of, you know, pulling for this character, we are going to be getting a banner that is going to be featured alongside the Prompto event. It is going to be featuring two banner mates in King and Freya. Freya is pretty good, but if you have weapon tokens saved up, since she's only up to 35 CP, you don't necessarily need to pull on his banners, particularly for Freya, because you can just go to the weapon token store and actually get it there. King, while he did get a level 60 awakening, his level 60 awakening was actually pretty good when it first came out, but currently right now he's kind of fallen off. I haven't really seen a lot of King being used for particular Cosmos events, so he's probably the consolation prize. And then Prompto himself is going to be getting his weapons, and we're going to quickly touch up about what those weapons do. So his 15 CP Cositus is going to be giving him a 50% potency extension to that Brave heal that he provides to the party, as well as extending the duration for his 100% evasion rate up to 2 turns. So that's pretty good because it extends the evasion. And then his 35 CP Mithril Pistol increases the Brave damage potency by 60%. It also increases the defense reduction potency by 20%, extending its effects to 4 turns, and as well as increasing Mood Maker's potency and extending its duration to 8 turns. And then finally, we talked about his EX ability earlier, but his EX weapon is called Quicksilver, and that's what you need to equip that trigger-happy EX ability. So the banner itself, it's an okay banner. Obviously, Prompto is the star. Prompto has his EX weapon there. So again, if this character is one of your favorites, or you want to put Prompto to good use during this Cosmos era, then by all means go ahead and pull. But honestly, I would really wait until this weapon comes back for his Lost Chapters, because at his Lost Chapters, not only does his EX weapon get its plus variant, we're also going to be seeing another EX weapon featured on that banner, which is Freya's EX weapon, and Prompto himself actually gets a rework. When his rework comes out during his Lost Chapters release, his Star Shell is actually going to be significantly more turn efficient because he'll actually be dealing HP damage, and his Piercer is going to be doing splash damage now to other targets. So it's going to be doing the full damage to the target and also doing splash damage. So Prompto becomes significantly better when his Lost Chapters comes out with his rework, and that's where I feel like if you want to pull for this character, then it's going to be a much better value because he gets a better version of his EX weapon, the better version of the character comes out, and then afterwards Freya gets her EX weapon that also goes up to EX+. So if you want to pull for him now upon his initial release, he's a good pull, he's not a must pull, but later on when his weapon comes back during his Lost Chapters, that's where I feel like this character is definitely worth pulling for. Now let's go ahead and touch up on the bosses that's going to be present for this particular event. We're going to be taking a look at the Cosmos version of this fight because that's what we're going to be seeing in Global. So the Sergeant Imp boss, so we're familiar with the Imp enemies. They're those little goblin type enemies with the wings. For this particular boss fight, they have no weaknesses. However, they do resist magic attacks, so don't bring Renoa or any type of magic damage dealing unit because you're not going to be doing a lot of damage with them. They have the standard chase HP value of 40, and there's going to be 2 of them present. Now, some key things to look out for when you're combating against these bosses. One of them will play the role of support, buffing the other one, while the other one will focus entirely on dealing damage to your party. Now, they do switch their roles with an ability called Role Switcher. Okay, and what I recommend is definitely when this happens, I like to focus the one that buffs. So then that way you could, especially if you're using like a delay character or like you're using a character like Vayne, or if you break them, you could further delay the buffs that they provide to the other one. Now they also inflict certain debuffs such as defense down, speed down, and confusion. However, with Selfie being one of the synergy for this, you could definitely try to resist the debuffs with her wall because she does have the debuff evasion. And then the one thing that you want to watch out for is something called Calamity Bomber. So what this is it's an AoE Brave plus HP attack that deals 100% HP damage to your entire party. So the HP damage is not going to be split. It's going to be 100%. So you want to watch out for that because it's going to be a lot of damage, especially if one of your characters gets broken because they're going to be stealing a lot of Brave from your party, and it's a lot of damage that you're going to be eating. Now, some ways I feel like you could definitely mitigate the damage from that is taking a character like, for example, Warrior of Light, because you got the Brave shield, so they won't be able to steal, a lot of Brave from you. You can also put Warrior of Light in conjunction with Selfie, because her wall and then his shield is like, that's like a crazy amount of protection right there, right? And then if you have a character such as Porum with her 70% HP reduction, provided that you have her gear, can definitely help mitigate the amount of damage that you take from this particular ability. She can also heal you, and she also provides battery. So there's ways around this fight, but that's definitely the gimmick that this boss fight has that you want to watch out for, that 100% HP damage that they deal to your entire party. So we're actually going to move forward with my gameplay visual showcase. Again, like I mentioned earlier, Prompto in JP right now has his rework. Freya also has a rework, and I'm going to be taking Selfie primarily because she actually gives us that debuff evasion rate, and she's also going to be synergy for the actual character event for Prompto. I'm going to be taking the Shiva summon for this showcase, and then I'm actually going to be taking for a friend unit a character that we have yet to see in the future of DFFOO for Global, but it's going to be Arciela from Final Fantasy XI, so you guys get to see her in action in this particular gameplay video showcase. So let's go ahead and tackle the Cosmos version of this fight. Okay, so we're going to start off with 2 imps. So you guys get to see what Prompto can do now. I'm going to actually save his evasion for the actual boss fight, but this is going to be his Piercer with his rework. So he deals splash damage. And then Freya herself actually deals a significant amount of damage with her abilities now, but we'll save it when we actually really need it. Let's just go ahead and get that wall up with Selfie. Now, I will say, too, that even if you don't have Selfie's EX weapon on Global, she can still be really, really useful for the actual Prompto event. Just make sure that you get her all the way up to level 70 at least, because that wall can really come in handy. Now, I don't know if the mid-bosses are going to actually be the Astaroth, because this is the Lost Chapters version of this gameplay video showcase. I highly doubt that it will be, which is probably better for us on the global side of the game, because these bosses can actually get pretty annoying too. So this is Freya's new first ability right there. Pretty cool, her Raises Wind. Okay, so this is trigger happy. Now, you could see right there, right? So we have break mark active, and you could tell that it's active because you see those 3 blue circles that's flashing. So that's the particular icon that you want to look out for, and that's what changes Prompto's Brave and HP commands into Overkill and Crack Shot. So let's actually take a look at Crack Shot. We'll save his EX ability for another time. So this Crack Shot actually gets a pretty good boost there with his rework. It also does splash damage. All right, now let's go ahead and use Trigger Happy. So this is Trigger Happy. Now, the one issue that I really have with this is that I know it's at 400% Brave damage potency, and I know it does 10 consecutive one-hit Brave plus HP attacks, but against multiple targets, it's definitely, the damage is definitely diminished because he's dispersing it amongst multiple targets. I think that's one of the issues that I have, and also the fact that it doesn't have overflow. So the cumulative damage that you could deal with it potentially could be really high if there's only one boss or there's only one target present, but multiple targets, such as the actual Cosmos fight that we're going to be getting in Global, that's the issue that I have with that particular EX ability. That's where I feel like it's kind of lackluster. But the best thing that the EX ability obviously offers is going to be that buff, because it actually provides an aura to your allies, which is pretty cool. Alright, so this is the boss fight right over here. So there's going to be 2 of them. Again, one of them will buff each other, the other one will go on the offensive. So A is going to be the one doing the buffing, and then, or B, I mean, is going to be the one doing the buffing in this instance, and then A is going to be doing the attacking. So we're gonna save our evasion, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna go ahead and use Piercer. I recommend taking units, since there's 2 of them, that could deal damage to AoE targets. So Squall would be like a fairly good unit that you could take on the global side of the game. He'd be pretty good since he could deal a 100% AoE HP damage with his Renzokuken Plus. Alright, so Selfie's Aura will definitely come in handy, especially because we know that Prompto's EX ability charges really quickly, so you could abuse that. Alright, so we have Trigger Happy ready, and on A we have Break Mark, so let's go ahead and just use Trigger Happy. Okay, so B buffed up A. And Freya being synergy can also be really good for this fight too. Alright, so now they both have break marks, so that's pretty cool. Let's just go with Piercer. I really want to save his evasion stuff for when the actual when they start using their AoE abilities, because that's where they get really, really dangerous, is when they start using those AoE abilities. Alright, we're go ahead and use Raises Wind. Let's go ahead and refresh that. Okay, so B is gonna use that AoE ability next turn, so we gotta prepare for it. Go ahead and use Trigger Happy. This is Freya's EX ability. It's the Cherry Blossom Dragon, but she gets this later, but it's pretty cool. Finally, she gets an EX weapon, so she's not just a 35 CP legend. Alright, so we have Aura, so that's awesome. So let's just battery the party up. Okay, and let's actually... Let's just pop a wall. So then we can try to mitigate the damage. So you guys will get to see this ability. So there it is, Calamity Bomb. Now, thank God, it doesn't really hit too hard. It's just when you get broken is the issue because it's 100% AoE HP damage. So as long as you have some sort of defense mechanism that you can take advantage of, it's not going to be too much of a threat to be able to deal with. But just watch out for getting broken when they're targeting all, because that's the biggest issue right there. All right, so let's actually use a Star Shell and get, because we want that physical attack up, and I wasn't taking advantage of that earlier. And the evasion kicks in, which is awesome. Now they're using that again. So they like to use it often, so that can be pretty problematic in itself too. They have Aura, which is amazing. Alright, so now I'll use Star Shell because of the evasion that Prompto gets. Everybody is at full health, so this shouldn't do as much damage. Although, okay, that can be a problem. Okay, so that's... Ooh, and Selfie barely made it alive there. Okay. So as you can see, that's pretty dangerous. Luckily, Selfie survived that. Okay, let's get Selfie back up to full. I'll try to heal her up here. And then we have the evasion on Prompto, so we'll just go into his EX ability. We should have one more turn left from that previous turn that he took. Yep, okay. So this is what I'll do here. I'll go ahead and refresh, raise his wind, and then I'll go ahead and summon here now. So you guys have already seen pretty much what these bosses are all about to prepare you guys for the upcoming event. Actually, let's get Aura up just for fun, since it doesn't take up a turn, which is really cool, and no action delay. Alright, so now let's go ahead and bring in Arciella, who's an amazing unit. When this unit comes out, I feel like she's a must-pull. She is a combination of a damage dealer, a healer, a battery, she can dispel, and she can HP attack silence. What more can you ask for? She's really, really powerful. Alright, let's do this. Let's just use her EX, since we're in the summon. And if you fully have her kit upgraded, max limit broken and everything, the first ability usage doesn't actually take up an ability point, which is really, really cool. Alright, so we're going to use Piercer, so deal as much AoE damage as we can do here. Now for a friend unit, as far as the actual global version of this fight goes, I probably recommend Squall would be good too, especially during the summon. But if you want to go with delay and like focus fire one and then take, because when one of them dies, nothing crazy really happens. So what you could potentially do is, you know, go with Quistis if you want to, or somebody else that can delay. But I'd say taking Squall would probably be the best bet. Don't take Renoa again, because these bosses do resist magic. Oh, and one thing that I did forget to mention, these guys also use a Brave Shield. So when one of them buffs, you see that little shield, so it's pretty much similar to like the Warrior of Light shield, so just watch out for that too. It has like a specific Brave amount that they provide. And you gotta get through that shield first. Okay. Okay, so the HP silence came through there with Arceola's ability. So thank God for that. We have Cherry Blossom ready. Okay, and let's put up the wall. Okay, that HP silence kicked in right there. So thank God for that Arceola friend unit. We're gonna try to take A out first, so we don't have to deal with the AoE. Okay, there we go. And this fight's is pretty much over now. So let's just go ahead and go with Drain. Awesome. So that's going to be the gameplay visual showcase. Again, watch out for that AoE. Be sure to either have Selfie or have somebody that could shield your party and also mitigate the amount of damage. Maybe even using a debuffer. So if you decide not to use Prompto, using a really strong debuffer to debuff their attack. That way they're not going to be dealing as much damage with that. But just watch out for it. Take a good healer if you can. But anyways, guys, that is going to be concluding this Prompto video to prepare you guys for the upcoming Prompto event on Global. Thank you guys for watching. 40 the Broadway Saiyan signing out. Mahal, everyone.